So, and we're on. Hi, you guys. Welcome to Zero to Cash. If you can hear some of the occasional noise, like jackhammering or trucks backing up, then that's pretty typical for New York City. I'm broadcasting live today from Life Shifted HQ, and I'm really excited, only slightly nervous, and I just want to say thanks for coming, thanks for playing with me, and let's get started with the party. So feel free to blow up the social stream, and other than that, here we go. So Zero to Cash, the concept for me, the reason I decided to do it was because I realized that I have a knack for building businesses from zero to something that's sustainable. And I realized that for my own businesses, and I also realized that for the businesses that I work with. And if you don't know me at all, I'll just give you kind of like a little rundown, but basically I've been successfully avoiding offices since 2004. And I graduated from college in 2003 and really have not done a lot of actual employee work. I've been freelance that whole time, and I say freelance because for a long time, freelance connotes to me just sort of like random work here and there. It was only in 2009 that I got serious about building my own business, and so prior to that, I was just taking project after project. In any case, I've often worked with businesses that are teeny and small, and then businesses that are really big and making, 100 mil. So in that process, I got to learn a shit ton about what to do when you need to rebuild. Because the peaks and troughs of business apply whether you're one person or, 1,000. And here's the thing. Business is not rocket science. And I remember driving around, I used to live in Richmond, Virginia, driving around, and I was looking at all the mom and pop businesses that were lining this one particular stretch of not really cute road, it's all those commercial signs and buildings and strip malls, and I was like, gosh, look at all the local businesses that are here that are making it year after year after year, and I thought, if they can do it, you sure as hell bet I can do it. So with that, let's go, Zero to Cash. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the social stream. I'll take a look at them periodically and check in and see if you guys have just burning questions. And another thing about me, if you aren't familiar with me and my work, I am pretty freeform. I certainly have notes that I've made, and I've got some things that I would love to cover while we're in this, but I'm here to give you guys what you really need. And so feel free to communicate with me, let me know, and we'll go from there too. So, Zero to Cash, you might be a little surprised. I hope you have pen and paper. I hope you can write some things down, because one of the first things as I started thinking about this concept of Zero to Cash, I realized that it's really not necessarily about the cash. So before we dive into like the tactical things that you can do to build your business, I want to get at the emotional stuff of business. And it hit me because I went back to what I call zero. So let's define that. Let's define zero. Because some people might go, ooh, zero, I don't like that. That doesn't sit well with me. That's not abundance. That's talking about lack and scarcity. That's not what I mean. I'm using zero as a symbol, okay? Everybody's got a different set point for what their zero is. For some people, zero means that they're making 10 grand a month and they start freaking out because they feel like they're at zero. Someone else is going to go, zero to me feels like I have a mortgage for my house that I can't pay, and I'm totally maxed out on my credit cards, and I'm not making any money because I just got laid off or my business is struggling. That's zero to someone else. And then there are a whole bunch of different other options for zero on that spectrum. So when I say zero, I don't want you to think of zero as necessarily meaning that, oh my gosh, because your zero is going to be different from my zero, is going to be different from someone else's zero all the time. The interesting thing is that whatever you think of and perceive as your zero is going to give you that same like heart palpitations. I get sweaty, maybe my belly gets tight when I think about it. And then I want to move up from there. So I want you to get in touch with your zero, possibly write it down, and know what it is. Because for your future decisions on investing in your business and investing in yourself, if you start getting close to your zero, then it's not going to feel good, and it might not be the best decision for you. So really embrace your zero and be really honest about where you are and what your zero is. So starting from that place, if we're wanting to go from zero to cash, what does that really look like? But more importantly, what does it mean? Like, what does zero to cash mean? And to me, I want to go back to that word I used earlier. It's getting a little warm in here. I'm sitting right next to the heater. I want to go back to that word sustainability. So ultimately, and I was on the phone this morning with someone amazing. Her name's Shanti Zimmerman. And she said something that I thought was really, really cool. She said that you know, she's a spiritual teacher, and some people have a hard time with her charging for what her work is. And they were like, why can't you just like go hang out with the Catholic Church? That's for free, you know? And well, not really, but you know what I mean. So she said, dude, I'm a spiritual teacher, but that doesn't mean I have to give away my gifts for free. It's an exchange of energy. I'm giving my energy to my client, and my client is giving back to me energy in the form of money, and that money is helping me feed my kids. In those very concrete terms, she was describing that sustainable relationship of the work she does as energy being exchanged for money. That's energy. And then using that energy to do something else, which is feed kids, which is a whole other kind of energy. So all those things, it's all about sustainability, like building a sustainable system that supports you, that supports the people in your life. So when you think about cash, I want you to, and I learned this from Eric Learmark, I want you to think for a moment about what would be a sustainable cash goal for you. So take a moment. If you need to, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And get clear on what that sustainable cash goal could be. Monthly. I like a monthly goal. I think it's easier than a yearly goal. And write that down. Cool. So once you've done that, you know where your zero is. You know where your cash is. Now it's all the fun part in the middle. You're probably going, okay, so how do we get there? Can't you give me the steps? What is the blueprint to get to X? I was just on the phone with Rachel Cook. She's the yogipreneur. She's a dear friend. And we were talking about what one of her upcoming webinars was going to be called. And I said, why don't you call it the unblueprint? Like everyone and their mother has a blueprint, right? Like the first info product ever bought was Allie Brown's online blueprint success system. Everybody loves a blueprint because it makes us think that if we just follow these steps, then we will get to X, cash. We'll get from zero to cash. So two things. I'm here to tell you. One, there is no blueprint. So if you want a blueprint, you can stop watching now. Sorry. And if you're not completely freaked out by not having a blueprint, then come along for the ride because we still have, what, another 50 minutes. I hope I haven't scared you. And I want to go again back to sustainability. Like, we're building something that is going to have an ebb and a flow. It's going to have a winter and it's going to have a spring. That's how business is. It's going to have an up and it's going to have a down, but it's also going to have this life cycle that's a lot bigger than anything that we could ever imagine. Businesses, my friend, do not have free will. You can tweet that. Businesses do not have free will. You have free will, and you can put your energy into your business, but it can't, in and of itself, do things by itself. It needs your energy. And so that whole concept of zero to cash is really about energy. It's really about the energy that you bring to your business. It's really about the energy that you put into the products or services that you create. And it's about the energy that you receive back from the world, from your customers, from your clients, in exchange for the energy that you give them. So today we're going to talk about a system, and I don't want to say system as in blueprint. Today we're going to talk about the system that supports a sustainable business, so that you can go from that zero, whatever it is, to a sustainable monthly cash flow. Cool. Yay. All right. So, oh good. Sorry, Alethea, I just saw your little post. Hi. I love kids. You guys can come learn too. The next thing I want to talk about is that concept. I want to go back, and you're probably like, we're going to talk about rock bottom again. I want to talk about that concept of zero. And just for the record, I started my morning with tears at 8 a.m. There's a reason I don't have calls before 1 o'clock on most days. But any day that starts with tears and discovery is bound to be a good day. And then add into that it's hump day, what could be better? It's a good day. But I did. I started my day with tears and learned some really amazing stuff from the aforementioned Shanti Zimmerman. And, you know, so again, rock bottom. Sometimes we feel like we're at rock bottom and we're really not. I want to talk to you about that concept of zero. And some of you are at zero right now, and that might be why you're on the call. Some of you have been at zero before, and you remember what it feels like and you don't ever want to go back. And then some of you are somewhere like, you know, maybe you've never really felt like you've hit that zero, that rock bottom point, but there's still something in you that was compelling enough for you to hop on and spend time during your day with me. So I'm equating that zero with rock bottom, and I'll give you a story, or tell you a story. So there have been months when I have not been able to go to the grocery store because I couldn't buy anything to eat. And I call that shopping in my pantry, where you try to eat whatever food is like just randomly in the cupboard because there's not enough money to go buy food. And I've also had months where I'm depositing tens of thousands of dollars, multiple tens of thousands of dollars in my account on a regular basis. And I've gone through cycles of up and I've gone through cycles of down. And for me, those cycles have gotten even more compressed in the recent years. And I found that I was flowing tons of money in and then flowing money right back out. And every time I had to go from zero to cash. I would go, oh my gosh, and I'd be like, okay, do what you know how to do. And then I'd go do it, and then the money would come in again. And the last time that I hit a zero was in April of this year. And it was after several years of making multi-six-figure income. And I freaked out. I was like, how did I get here again? I thought I was never going to be here again because of what I was doing. And so I had to go back to my tools and shop in my cupboard. And was able to successfully, again, create something new. And I'm not at the multi-six-figure mark yet. It's been a scant 8 months. But I will be, again, I have no doubt. What was really interesting and instructive, and what is important for us today before we get to the tactics and the tools of what I've learned over and over, having put them to use, is why did I have to go back there again and again and again? And so for me, I know why I had to do that. I've learned about it over the past 6 months because I've been engaging with that shadow part of myself. So for you, I have a couple questions. Get out your journal or whatever piece of paper you're writing on, or your computer, and I want you to answer this question. Why are you at 0 if you are at 0 right now? And if you've gone to 0 before, or rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, why did you go there? So take a moment just to think about that and write about it and connect in. And while you do that, I'm going to hang out on the social screen. So my second question for you is, once you know why you're at 0, I want you to remember when you've been there before in your life. So I want you to make a little timeline. And it doesn't have to be detailed. All I want you to do is make that timeline of, okay, here's where I felt that, and note what the circumstances were, and maybe note when it is or when it was. And do that for your life. And now, I want you to answer the question, what have you learned so far from hitting 0? What have the lessons been? If you feel so compelled, you could put some of your lessons in the social stream. I know some of this stuff is going to be more private, so I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but if you want to share something, feel free. And I will share with you in a moment my biggest lessons. Okay, so once you've got a concept of what you've learned so far, I'm just going to give you a quickie on I'm going to give you a quickie on what I've learned. So for me, the reason that I had cycled through going up and going down to massive extremes is that I still had something to learn that I wasn't quite getting. And that something to learn took a couple different, it came in a couple different threads. So the first thread was I needed to learn my own worth. And I will tell you this right now. No matter what we do today, no matter what tactics and strategies you use in your business tomorrow and the days after, if you don't fully embrace that you are worthy, that you are more than enough, without doing any of the special stuff that you do and get paid for, money will continue to be an issue. Absolutely. So for me, learning that concept and embodying that concept has been an up and down journey. It's been a very experiential journey. And it's still evolving. I certainly embrace my own worth more now than ever and realize that there is nothing I can do or not do in this field, in this plane, to change that worth. I mean, if there's nothing else that we hit on today, let it be that regardless of where you are, if you're at zero and feeling, or if you're at, I have tons of cash, you are worthy no matter what is in your bank account or not. Bottom line. The second thread that was important for me was the concept of taking responsibility. I could take responsibility and help other people do their businesses and see the systems and things that they needed in place, and, you know, exclaim in outrage if they didn't have this set up or that set up, and like, what? You don't have this? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys. And you call yourself a business. But I needed to set up those systems for myself. I needed to take responsibility, be a big girl, and do those things. I'm still dealing with the fallout of that. If you haven't seen my video on taxes, you might want to. And that was a huge lesson. I thought that I could just float through life and my business, and that the structures that govern our world wouldn't apply to me for some reason. So I had to get serious. I had to do what I call go pro, and I don't mean going pro the other kind. I had to go pro with my business. And then the third big thread for me in going to zero was that it got me, it basically was like a culling, a distilling down of what was really vital. And I see this happen with other business owners all the time, especially people who facilitate other people's success. If you facilitate other people's success, but you're not really focusing on your own creativity or your own thing, it can feel really, really gross after a while. And so for me, the third thread was to realize that, oh my gosh, am I going to spend my life building other people's businesses for them and doing it for them, or am I going to build my own? And it took cycling back to zero over and over again to hit that. The other thread that's part of that one is that I wasn't really owning what I'm really supposed to be doing here on the planet. I was sort of skirting around it. And my spiritual teacher, Jennifer Urizio, was really instrumental in helping me not skirt around that anymore. But it took, again, going to zero. Now, I have a new theory. I believe that in this new wave of consciousness that everybody's talking about, that I also believe in, that we will not have to go to zero all the time to learn what we need to learn. We will be able to learn in a graceful manner that doesn't cause so much pain. And truly, that's what I hope to be doing in Life Shifted and in Magnetism Factor. There will be some pain, no matter what. Like, we can't deny that, get rid of it, stuff it down with all of our magical thinking, like it's not going to go away. Okay? But I do believe that we will not have to hit rock bottom all the time in order to make positive changes in our lives. So, I want to see what you guys have on here, what your amazing learnings have been. Learning about power and worth. Heck yeah, Athena. Love that. Plus, you have a strong, strong name. You're powerful. Carol, I love yours. That when a door closes, another opens. And yes, perfect timing. I too believe in perfect timing for everything. Even when I miss someone's call that I was supposed to be on, I believe in perfect timing. These are great, you guys. So after hearing my particular and very specific experiences with being at zero and moving past it, I do have a couple more questions for you guys. And the first one is, when you think about going from zero to cash, what are you really after? What do you believe will be what will happen for you once you hit cash, once you hit sustainable? What happens for you? What happens for your business? What happens to your family? And what meaning do you give it? So that's a two-part question. What do you believe will happen when you hit your version of cash? And what meaning are you giving that in your life? So I want you to take a moment now Think about those two things, because those are really, really crucial. Great. So I suspect that you'll be able to come back to those two questions in the future. Whenever I find that I am attached to something, to an outcome, I get to ask myself those two questions. What do I believe about myself or about my business? What do I believe is going to happen out of this? And then what meaning am I giving that in my life? So I hope that those two questions can become, part of your questions in your back pocket that you can pull out when you notice that you've got a lot of emotion and attachment wrapped up in a specific outcome. And I think Carol put in the social stream the concept of, that whenever a door closes, a window opens, and we really never know what's going to happen, and being okay in the not knowing, which is quite possibly one of the biggest challenges of our life in this existence, is to be okay in the not knowing. And that's a practice. I mean, that's a daily moment-by-moment practice. So given that you've gotten some time to reflect on those things, what I'm getting at by asking you what meaning you give to getting to that cash place is I want to go all the way back to the beginning when we were talking about, regardless of the cash, regardless of our bank account, we have innate, inherent worth. And sometimes what happens is when we start to attach a ton of meaning to getting to that cash point, which is also what they call ATMs in Europe, how appropriate, when we attach a lot of meaning and value to that specific point, like 6 figures or what have you, then we forget and negate, actually, our own worth. So what I want for you to do is, every time you think that, oh, I have to get there, remember that it's already here. Your worth is here. Your worth is not in the bank account. And it might sound counterintuitive to you. I get that. I fight it too. But truly, the more that you can cultivate your own worth, then the more whatever happens with the numbers doesn't even faze you. It becomes more of a game. It gets lighter. It becomes more playful. And then it's not like, oh my gosh, my autoresponder is wrong and I have to fix it because if I don't, then I won't make any money and then I won't be worth anything. Ah! Right? It really doesn't have to be that hard. It can be so much more fun. So, with that, let's turn a little bit. Have you ever done that? Oh, the autoresponder? Yeah, I have. Let's turn to the tactical fun parts. Okay, so if all of this is really just a game, and by game, I'm not saying that it's not important, and I'm not trying to minimize the importance that it has in our lives. What I mean is that we get to come from a place of, I actually really love here the word frisky, so not like frisky kitties, the cat food, or like frisky, like hey. No, I like that word frisky, and you know who's been using it a lot lately is Esther Hicks from Abraham Hicks, and I love their work. I think it's fantastic. I think there are a lot of wonderful things we can pull from it, And they talk about, if you're not feeling frisky about your work, about what you're up to, then why are you doing it? And to go back to my conversation with Shanti Zimmerman this morning, she's like, Lauren, you're a party. If you're not having a party, then don't do it. Like, you just need to look for the party. Where's the party? Okay? And I was like, yeah, I like that. That's so much better. Not to say that there aren't times for being serious and for being introspective and being, thinking about big things, but that sometimes we do take ourselves a little too seriously, and we make things harder than they have to be. So when I say frisky, I mean, like, what are you getting psyched about? If you don't get psyched about Facebook, then why are you on Facebook, right? Just because someone said you had to be? If you don't get psyched about newsletters, don't do a freaking newsletter. Yes, there's some wisdom to email marketing. But if that's not how you roll, then that's not how you roll. And you can do it a different way. So let's go to the concept of what do we actually get to do, because we tackled some being stuff, and I'm sure you'll continue to unpack that over the next little bit, but we've attacked some being stuff, and if we're coming from a place of lightness, if we're coming from a place of play, if we're coming from a place of delight, of frisky, then suddenly we get to create experiences for ourselves and others, energy, that other people are going to give us money for. So I want to talk a little bit about what I call my non-formula formula, and I already gave it to you on the Zero to Cash page, so it's not a surprise, but I am going to expand a little bit on it, and I like some stories. So when I have in the past either started with a new client or gone from Zero to Cash for myself, there are a couple key things that have happened, and they're both action oriented, and they're also being oriented. So I want to go through my outline so that you guys can have a little insight into where I'm coming from and see how that can apply to you and your business. So the first thing that I like to do when I'm going, okay, I'm here right now in this place, I might feel a little, the first thing that I do really is I get in my vortex, which is what a term from Abraham Hicks, and that's really the vortex. I mean, honestly, that's presence. It's their word for presence. It's instead of worrying about what's happening in 2 weeks, I've got to pay for whatever, I come back to now. Okay, right now. And in this moment, I get to make better decisions than if I'm trying to be in the future or the past. So the first thing is presence and getting in the vortex. And in the vortex, I get to be happy and fun and frisky and myself. And on purpose. And from consciousness instead of from programming, to quote my friend Jennifer Urizio. So that's the number one thing you can do for yourself, your business, your clients, whatever it is. If you're a product creator, the number one thing you can do is bring yourself right back to the present. How do you do that? There have been millions of words written about it. So it's different for everybody. In the yogic tradition, we breathe. We create presence. We cultivate presence through breath. We come back to the essence, the in and the out. If you're not down with yoga, that's okay. You don't have to be down with yoga. Other people cultivate presence through other things. I like to dance. That helps me get present. That helps me get in my body. In the Western world, we're in our heads all the freaking time. We're up here. We live up here. In third world countries, they live in their bodies. They're very embodied, because they're close to the earth. They're close to the ground. But for us, we have to do something to get embodied. So that can be breath, that can be movement, that can be meditation. For some people, that's like playing with their kids or going for a run. Whatever it is that brings you into presence, do that. Okay, so from that place of presence, then you get to do something that comes next. You get to decide that you're making a change. And it doesn't have to be a massive change. So I don't know if you've ever been on a sailboat, but on a sailboat you have, well, it depends on what kind of boat. If it's like real fancy, it's different. But you have these like big wheels, right? The helm. And you have the compass in front of you. And you're standing at the helm, with your legs apart, and you're firm, and you're looking at the compass, and maybe you're trying to get somewhere specific. And you have to go with the wind, right? But you also want to go where you're going. And sometimes the wind is blowing such that it makes sense for you to be pointed away from your direction in order to catch the wind that will eventually take you to where you're going. And when you do decide to change direction slightly, maybe the wind has changed or you've got to like go tack back and forth, you really only turn the wheel just a tiny little bit. It's not a big crank. That would be bad. That's when they say jive ho. Okay? Or not bad, but that's a big change. You just make this tiny little change, and then the needle just jumps just a little bit, and it takes you in that other slightly different direction to get where you're going. It's the same with making the decision to go from where you are, 0, to cash. You don't need to make a massive, massive change to go from 0 to 100,000 in a month. All I'm saying is decide to make a change to make something more from where you are. That's the first thing. So just make a little turn of the wheel, just a little turn of the wheel. And that decision, making that decision, is so, so important. So from there, after you've made your decision, we had a discussion in one of the Facebook groups I'm in about this recently. Someone was saying, I really don't get down with free sessions. And that's the next step, is to give away what you've got for free. Whether you make chocolates or perfume or deliver soul level change via coaching or what have you, give it away. And I know a lot of you are going, okay, but how does that value me? What that does is it gets you in the process of giving out the energy and experiencing the results that you give people. There are a couple of reasons that I say give it away for free. The first reason is that if you're a newbie, then you need to give it away for free because no one has any sense of you. And you, if you're a newbie, haven't had a lot of experience with it. So you're really just testing. And I like to make comparisons to the technology industry. And if you notice, a lot of tech companies, before they go to a paid model, will give away what they're doing for free. It works. They have freemiums or whatever. We all do that on our websites too. We give away something for free because it gets people involved in the conversation. And, at this point, it's just costing you your time and certainly your energy, but it's a wonderful way to gain confidence, remind yourself that you're worthy, get some great feedback on your product or service because it could be tweaked or changed to make it even better. And I hope you ask for feedback and welcome it. And it will also give you some glowing testimonials, and it'll give you practice. So I want to share with you the story of a woman, and gosh, I wish I had her name, but I will find it. She is the owner of a Curves franchise in New Jersey, and she was someone who was overweight. She struggled with her weight. She decided to open this Curves franchise because she felt like fitness was super important, and she wanted to share her story of getting fit, and opened the Curves, became a coach after that, and was like, okay, well, I'm a new coach. How do I'm about to graduate. What do I do? So she offered a bunch of people free sessions. I believe she did 8 weeks, and she put them into a contract that said, we're going to do this 8 weeks of sessions for free, but if you want to continue, then my cost is X, and we'll continue at that rate. That's what my rate is. And after that first trial period of time, she had a completely booked practice. That worked for her. She took a gamble on herself that what she was offering her people was going to be compelling enough that at the end of their time together, they would want to sign on and pay. And they did. So I want to unpack a little bit what was going on there. She believed in her worth. She created a framework for the other people to understand it, and a framework for how they were going to have an exchange together. I believe in her framework she also had, you know, hey, I'd also like your feedback and a testimonial at the end, even if you don't want to continue working. So she got that. That was in writing. And she delivered. She gave them great service, which brings me to the next thing. So once you have decided, once you have started giving it away for free, then you get to give amazing, amazing, stellar service. And I hope Victoria's still on. Victoria Prosen-McGlynn is an amazing woman. I've worked with her. She's now working with me. And I did her Super Luxe naming program. And she's working on something. I hope I'm not spilling the beans here, Victoria. She's working on something called CX, which if you follow the tech community, like, you'll know what that is. If you don't, no biggie. It's customer experience, client experience, CX. And it's going to be freaking huge, especially the way that Victoria's talking about it. And customer experience is what they experience every step of the way as they interact with your brand, whether they're a customer yet or not, a paying customer yet or not. Elle Edwards also talks about this concept too in a different way. And customer experience is what I'm talking about. You need to give them the ride of their flipping lives. Love them up, even if they're not paying. Because that is going to set the bar for you. It's going to give them a full experience, and it's going to help them give you better feedback and better testimonials as well. So definitely, oh, there you are, Victoria. Yay. So if you have any questions about CX or want to learn more about that, definitely hit up Victoria, because she can help with that. And she and I are going to do some fun things, I think, to create a amazing CX standard for Life Shifted as well. So decide that you're going pro. Decide that you're going to make it work. Decide that you're going to turn the wheel just a tiny bit to increase. Then give it away. Then love them up. Give them amazing customer experience. Okay, I have to check my notes next. You know, I use this one. I have it as number 3. We'll put it at number 4. It's get clarity. So this happens for me all the time, but also if you're new, this is super crucial. You'll get so much clarity from your free sessions or giving away your stuff for free and getting feedback from people about what people actually want. You'll get clarity about what you want to do. You'll get clarity about who you want to work with. You'll get clarity about how much you want to charge. You'll get clarity about how you want to work. Do you like phone? Do you like video? Do you like Skype? Do you like in person? You'll get so much clarity from these free sessions that you never would have had if you just sort of started and said, this is what I do. And then you're stuck with that. So that's one of the main reasons that I love giving away stuff for free, is because I get so much back. I get so much data that then I can parse and say, oh, right, this is helping me. And, you know, if you followed my trajectory, you probably haven't, because Life Shifted started in June. Magnetism Factor started last year. And then my other coaching business, which I continue to run, started in 2009. But before that, I mean, I had a brand that was all about eating disorder recovery. I had a brand that was more about like marketing, coaching, I guess. I've gone through a couple different brands. I've gone through shit tons of business cards, like lots of websites, until I finally hit on, oh, this is how I do it. And it will continue to evolve too. You know, ultimately, like if I'm talking to a 5-year-old and they say, you know, what do you do? I go, I talk to people about their relationships and their money and their businesses and their lives and their dreams. That's the most fun part. That's what I do. I couldn't have told you that even 3 weeks ago, because I'm continually taking in so much data that helps me continually refine what it is I do and how I do it. And giving away sessions like this will help you get that clarity and help you refine. So once you've done that, the other thing that I really, really love is that when you give away free sessions, you can be like, so, what do you want? What would you pay for it? How would you like that delivered? You don't have to have something already created. Full disclosure here, like I have ways that you can play with me and pay me to do that. And, you know, I don't have a sales page ready to roll that's like the Zero to Cash sales page. I sort of have an idea of what I'd like to do, and I'm kind of frisky about it, so I'll share that with you at the end. But I'm more interested in what you guys are looking for than in what I want to dictate to you that you must do if you want to interact with me, frankly. So, and that's how I created Momentum, actually, the program that is on Life Shifted right now. I created it because I asked people what they wanted. I asked how much they could afford. I asked how much time they wanted to spend on it. I asked what the outcomes they wanted would be. And that's how I created something that became popular really fast. And I invite you to do the same thing. Use surveys or ask your clients at the end of a session, what do you want? How much would you like to pay? How do you want that delivered? Do you want it in a one day? What would you prefer? And you don't have to take everybody's data and then give them each something different, but you take it all, you put it together, you let it sit with you and how you like to work, and then you get to create something, again, friskily, that works for everybody, you hope. And if it doesn't, then that's fine too. But you create something with their input and with your own, as opposed to pushing something out there that you think everybody wants that they really don't. Because how many times have we done that? A lot, right? And it stinks when you hear silence and you're like, dang it, crickets. Maybe crowdsource your next program or product. I mean, look at ModCloth. They're an amazing example of that. They crowdsource so much of their inventory. And if you don't know ModCloth, modcloth.com, it's one of the internet darlings. It's this chick and her husband who, when they were like in college or just out of college, were like, hey, let's sell stuff on the internet, like clothing, women's clothing. And they sold vintage, and then they started making their own stuff, and then they started getting indie designers to create stuff for them, and then they started asking their fans, hey, what do you guys want to wear? And they've got an amazing model that is all about interactivity and amazing CX. Incidentally. So, or not incidentally. So, you know, ask your peeps what they want regularly. Don't do it once a year. Like, ask them, follow up with them a lot. Next. If you are going from zero to cash, or you're somewhere in the middle, offer, like, so respond to what they want after you've checked in with your own self and created something that you're excited about. But give it at an easy peasy price. And when I say easy peasy, I'm not saying that from a place of like, oh my gosh, what if nobody wants this? I better just charge $5. I mean, make it a no-brainer. Ask yourself what would be a no-brainer. What's a no-brainer for me? And start with that. You always have to start somewhere. Now, there are some people who will be like, yo, just your price is your price. I'm going to put my feet up. I don't think that would be in the frame. So your price is your price is your price. Yes, that's true. Excuse me. And I think that it really helps us if we stair-step our prices, because it gives us time to grow into it. If we go from like, I don't have a business to I'm $800 an hour, there's not a lot of social proof about you. You don't have a lot of testimonials, and there's, you know, you don't have the capacity yet to be like, I'm totally worth $800. But if you start at $200 and then add $50 here or there, then it starts to go up and up and up with your experience, with your results, and with your internal calibration of self-worth also being able to expand. Now, I will tell you this, my commitment to Life Shifted is to keep Life Shifted a reasonable price ad infinitum. You know, I've spent well over $100,000 on trainings. I've done 2 $25,000 masterminds, and while I don't think that that was a mistake per se, I also am really conscious that when I do offer something that is a higher price point, like 5 figures, I want it to be so kick-ass that there is no doubt in anyone's mind, mine or my customers, that they got every penny's worth and more. And I can't say that about the programs that I was in, and I certainly can't say that for my fellow participants. And I don't want to be that girl. So make sure that whatever price you set for your initial offering, if it's not like a no-brainer, it doesn't have to be $100 or less, but make sure it's something that you know you can deliver on and then way over deliver. And not from a place of depletion and, oh, I have to give so much, so much, so much, but just from a place of, hey, I am really making this rock and roll because I know my own worth, and it's that. Cool. So once you've done that, offered at an easy peasy price, then you continue to give them that amazing experience, and then you keep asking for feedback. You stair-step your price up, and then you repeat it. You keep doing this. You keep getting more clarity. You keep asking for more feedback. You keep tweaking your offering. You keep offering them something that you're excited about and that they're excited to receive. And you can keep upping your price a little bit until you get to a point that you feel, hey, that is stasis, that is sustainable, like that's where I want to be. So hopefully that blueprint system for going from zero to cash is helpful. It's not rocket science, people. It's really not. And that's the funny thing. Like, sometimes I think we can like self-flagellate, like, this isn't rocket science, how come I can't figure it out? Dude, don't be so hard on yourself, and don't make it so difficult. Remember, walk around your neighborhood or drive around, whatever, I don't know where you live, and notice all the businesses that are out there doing the exact same thing. Get off the pity party and go out there and ask people to work with you. You're awesome. You're amazing. If it's not working, then pivot. Again, a term from the technology world. Groupon like started as kind of like a charity thing and then became what it is. It's going to have to pivot again to be even more profitable, no doubt. Learn from that. You might have to pivot too, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you suck. It doesn't mean that you made a mistake. It doesn't mean you sucked tons of money into something that was totally idiotic. It just means that you're changing. And the meaning you choose to give it is what's making you miserable, not what's actually going on. So again, go back to that question earlier in the afternoon was, what meaning are you giving that number in your bank account? What meaning are you giving how many people are on your newsletter list? What meaning are you giving to what you do or don't do on a day-to-day basis? That reminds me, actually. So for a lot of you, I think that it's easy to get caught up in this whole internet world, and the internet is wonderful. It helps me do what I do, and I love it for that. And my granddad's on it, and he's like 90, which is amazing. He buys stuff off the internet. But what I want you to do is, I want to wrap up. I know we've only got 5 more minutes. I've got a couple more things. You've really, really, really got to be brutally honest with yourself about how you like to work, who you want to work with, and how much time and effort you're really willing to put in. You also need to be a master. Like, think about the 10,000 hours. Are you there yet? It's okay if you're not. And then, so as you're getting really even better at what you're already good at, the other thing I want you to do is think long term. So there was a period of time, and I talked to my mom about this earlier this week. There was a period of time when all I was like, okay, I just got to get to the next month. I just got to pay my bills for the next month. Okay, that is such a different perspective than, oh wow, I'm thinking about my 3-year plan now, or even my 1-year plan, for crying out loud. Jeez, like, that's a huge shift. So maybe come up, widen your focus a little bit, and say, okay, well, here I am today. What's the 1-year plan? What's the 3-year plan? Knowing, as Carol mentioned, that things are going to change, that you're going to pivot in that time, but that you have a more expansive and less attached perspective on what you're up to. I wrote down, brutally assess your skills. Is there something that you need to learn in order to be a better business person? We all have things that we need to learn. And I'm not saying that you need to be a master of every single little tiny element. Like, do you know HTML like the back of your hand? I don't know, probably not. I know a little bit. I know enough to like screw things up. But make sure you know your shit. If you're using internet marketing, make sure you know about internet marketing. If you're using direct mail, make sure you know about direct mail. Be on the cutting edge of that. Make sure you're following that stuff. Know what you need to learn. And then, you know, the last thing is go local. Become the go-to person for whatever it is you do in your geographic region. That is, seriously, we overlook what's right around us. Go local, interact with people. They will fall in love with you. It almost doesn't even matter what you do. They really want you. So go local, interact, and let everybody have more of your amazing builds. So if you have any questions, you can pop them into the social stream. We have a few more minutes. And then the way that I'm going to do this is, and I know you guys have been on so you can hear me, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it password protected, and I'm going to have the recording available for you guys on Ustream. So you will be able to watch it. And just so you know, Christina, I see that you put, hope you do these often. Yeah, I have some plans. Oh, duh. I should start talking about it. Now it's sales time. Okay, put on my sales hat. Now I got to talk in my sales voice. No, I hope I don't talk in a sales voice. Gosh, it's been so long since I did telemarketing. That will teach you how to sell. Anyway, yes, I did telemarketing. I do want to share with you a couple ways that you can work with me. The first way that you can work with me, oh, there we go, my computer went away. So the first way that you can work with me is one-on-one. And, you know, I do have some spaces. I'm not going to tell you there are only 3 left. I don't know. I'd have to go look and see what my client roster looks like. But I do have spaces for the Momentum membership. And if you don't know what that is, you can hit up the Life Shifted website really quickly. It's a monthly strategy session plus 3 follow-up check-ins that are shorter. And basically, it's all about building momentum in your business. It's a reasonable price point. I'm working with several people on a pretty long-term basis for momentum, and it's awesome. I'm loving the results that my clients are getting. They're able to accomplish more in less time. They feel a lot more flow around it, and they're making money, and they're creating new programs and services and products that they're really excited about. So for me, the Momentum program is really fun. And if you've never experienced my work, yeah, it's a lot about strategy and the to-do list and what you need to get done. But the thing that I think is interesting about what I get to do is that we also tackle a lot of the mindset part that is crucial to business. You know, ultimately, I'm not here to make sure that you make $100,000 a year. I'm here to make sure that you feel amazing about yourself, regardless of what that number in the bank is. And certainly the byproduct is also money. Awesome. But it's so much more important that the internal structure to support that business is there. And that's what we get to do in Momentum. So come play with me. You can do that. And then the other thing that I'm excited about, but do not yet have a sales page on, is I'm going to do a 1-day virtual retreat in December. I'm going to have 2 dates. So if you can't do the one that's coming up, December 11th, you'll be able to do the next one after that. I believe it's the 28th of December. It's that week after Christmas, which I love. I love that week because like nobody's doing anything and people are sick of like hanging out with their families and they're like, what do I do now? But it's all very like introspective time. You don't want to be all busy and hurried. So I've got 2 date options for a day-long virtual retreat, and that will be live broadcast. I'll do one here from New York, and I'll also do one from Virginia. Doesn't matter where I am because you'll just be logging onto your computer. But that day will be a little more meditative, It will be a little more, we'll do some movement. You know, I am a yoga teacher. And we will also do some ritual that helps us close out the year that we've just had, and then create a beautiful strategic plan for the coming year that comes from a place of excitement and that friskiness that we've been talking about, instead of from a place of chaos or, you know, scared, you know, fear. So that day-long retreat is going to be live broadcast, and it will be a no-brainer price. I'm thinking like $100. My ideal is for you to have a group of women, even if it's just your BFF, at your house watching together. I think doing it with another person is going to make it even more impactful for you. We'll have some time to go off and do things and journal on your own, and we'll also have some time for hot seats. I'll for sure be giving away some prizes. And actually, on that note, we still have, we're a little bit after the hour, but if you want to win a spot on the virtual retreat, I'm telling you guys this now, and I'll post it too on a blog. You need to follow me on Twitter, like Life Shift on Facebook, and then post to your group about the virtual retreat we call Year in Review. And I will pick at random. I'll actually have someone else pick it because I won't be random. I'll have someone who's totally unbiased pick a winner, and you'll get to come to the retreat, one or both of them. They'll both be roughly the same, but you'll get to come to whichever date suits you the best and participate complimentary, gratis. So that's what I've got. If you do have any other questions, feel free to pop them up here. And other than that, thank you so much for your time and for your energy today. And I look forward to engaging with you soon. Yay! Where the party at? Plus, I'm going to throw a party in New York City if you're here. Yeah! All right. Thank you, ladies. Bye.